Hello all, in this video I'll show you a simple workflow that lets you keep all your layout and scattering inside SOPs while still rendering everything correctly in Solaris. If you are just getting started with Solaris or you simply prefer keeping things organized in one place, then I think you will find this approach much easier to manage. So this is a file which I made for one of my projects. This is a large scale terrain scattering happening here in this scene. I couldn't show the file for some reason, but I can show you the how the layout is made. So this is made entirely within LOPs network. So this is where I understood that it would be better to keep it in SOPs and keep the LOPs only for lighting and scene assembly purpose. So in here you can see I have used many instances nodes and other like asset importing, like material assignment. Everything is done in this single network. So it is slightly like confusing for me at sometimes, like when I was working, because each of the instancer have its own set of nodes to kind of scatter the points and stuff. So it is kind of jumping between context, and it was a little bit hard to preview things together and all those things. So I kind of changed my approach and rethink about this, how I can make the layout separate from lighting, so that the layout can be done entirely in SOPs, like along with all the asset scattering. Like you can process everything in one SOP network so that it stays it stays clean and keep everything within the SOP context, and easy to work with copy to points and stuff. So that is why I prefer this particular method. Now I'll show you how how we can rebuild the same thing. So what you are seeing here is the method I was talking about. So I'll show you what is it and how is it set up. So what you are seeing in the bottom is the SOP level visualization of just using copy to points, and then this is imported inside the LOP network. So this is like you can render this directly in LOPs using any renderer. So like you are kind of doing all the layout with your favorite SOP network, but at the same time you render everything using the USD instancing. So it is like best of both worlds. You don't have to use the layout tools inside the LOPs. You can do all your scattering and layout stuff with the copy to points style setup. So you can have as many like networks in here. Like you can do many different layers of objects, all those things, and then you can easily render it in LOPs. So I'll show you how I did this. So it is very easy to set up basically. The first thing is your objects. So I can you can see there is this asset planter and asset barrel. I have these two assets in here, and I have merged them together into a single stream. So if you check the scene graph tree, you can see there are like two assets under the root object. One is the asset barrel and another one is the asset planter. So there are two objects. So I'm kind of importing this into the SOP network now. So you can see there is a LOP import in here, and I imported that LOP path here, and importing all the primitives, or you can select which primitive you want using this button. So I'm selecting all the primitives. So it is importing the USD assets. Let me unpin this so that you can see the SOP. So yeah, this is what it is importing from the LOPs. So you can see there are two packed primitives. One is the asset barrel and another one is the asset planter. So these two are imported in here just for the sake of visualization. We are not going to render this from the LOPs. So it is okay to use proxy objects. So if you have proxy, you can just import those proxy objects in here. It is just for visualization in SOP level. So yeah, after this point, so we have points here. We have a grid which has some points on it, and these grids have normals and orient attribute in it. Actually it has a ROT attribute, which is a rotation attribute, which is equivalent to orient as well. So we have the orientation of the points, and then we have the point position from here. and we use the attribute from pieces SOP to collect the names of these objects. So there are two objects, so this node collect those two names and then randomly assigns to these points which we have. So I have set the mode to random so that it assigns those two names into all of these points randomly. So yeah, we have the name attribute on our points. Now we can just use the regular copy to points to see how it looks, and we need to enable this piece attribute and give the name properly, like as whatever you have mentioned here, the same should be mentioned here as well, so it picks the proper the appropriate asset from the library. So let's call this asset library, and so yeah, this is picking up the assets from this asset library based on what name it is marked on the points. So yeah, that is how you can do a copy to points. It is very common workflow that we always do. And now the trick is, instead of rendering this final output, dealing with packing and all, we are going to just export before the copy to points. So it has all the attributes like name, rotation, and everything. If you have p scale and all, it will have all the attributes to copy this to any points. So just copy this and go to stage. So in here you can see I have this instancer, and it just has the object merge, which is loading that null. So we are actually importing only the points from the SOPs and doing nothing inside here. So it is just a simple instancer. And then we are also importing the same assets that we are using in the SOPs. So this, you can actually connect it here. I just used this fetch to keep the scene cleaner for me. So I can just keep away all the asset preparation stuff on the top, and keep this part only for the layout. So if I have more asset libraries, I can just copy this setup here and do more and more scattering. So you can see this is looking exactly same as what we see in the SOP level. Before that, I have forgotten something. So it is very important to set this prototype index to name attribute and connect the second input to the asset library which we have prepared. So yeah, if you do that correctly, you should be able to see exactly what you see in your SOP level. So you can see there is, I'll show you a comparison of both. So I'll pin this and I'll go back to the stage, and here I'll go back to the short cam. So yeah, you are seeing the exact same thing in both SOP and LOP world. So now you have flexibility to do all your layout work within the SOP level, and you just import the points in here to directly render the same asset using USD instancing, so without having to set up your collections and deal with different techniques that we are not used to. It is very minimal setup and easy to grab for beginners. So I highly recommend this setup. If you feel like this is useful for you, let me know in the comment section. Again, I'm not saying this is the only right way to use Solaris. It is simply the workflow that works best for me. I would like to hear how you organize your own projects, so let me know in the comments. If you would like to see more practical Houdini tips like this, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.